Good morning. Good morning. How everybody doing? This is the bottom line. I am Mars, and this is our producer Bria joining in today. We have
Hi.
Darren out today. Let's keep him in prayer. Also, he's out taking care of his dad. His dad has had some health issues, but I just want to just say, what's up, everybody? And Bria, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Happy to be here.
That's good. That's good.
Looking
That's
forward to today.
what's that?
Looking forward to today's show.
Are you? Yeah, we've had some heated discussions ourselves in our prep, didn't we? I think that happens a lot with people because that's all part of the conversations. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter who you
I
are,
think it's
what you look
good.
like. Yeah, it's healthy because I think that, especially like me and you, just a generational gap there. So I think a lot of times when people have conversations, you get a chance to, if you sit back, you can look at things from another person's perspective. You could actually tie
Yeah.
in. You can even tie in what a person understand, what they don't understand. You can understand what people have been through and why they see things differently than someone who hasn't been through something. So it's really interesting because we talk a lot about um, civil rights and racial equality and things of that nature on this show. And some people actually get frustrated with me. Why are you guys always talking about that? And I was
Yeah.
saying, wow, that attitude you just showed me is why we keep
Is
talking about
why,
it.
right?
We got to have a conversation. And it's just so many things. And like today, like you look at the news now. I didn't realize this. I just happened to see the news yesterday. I didn't realize that they were they had a protest again in Portland, and I guess it was over the borders. And I think there's a picture of something I might have in there. You gotta check it out and see. But there might be a picture in there. But it's showing you how things are continue escalating again over perception, views, what people think is right, what people think is wrong. But violence erupted in Portland on Thursday night as rioters targeted the Mark O. Hatfield U.S. courthouse. Federal officers were dispatched to quell the unrest that included fires and windows smashed. There have been regular protests and riots in downtown Portland ever since George Floyd died. They never stopped the protest. We've always been there.
Okay.
But
They just stopped doing coverage.
there's been coverage. It was coverage back then, but it's just getting to a point. They had another. They've been still rioting over there, but despite the frequent reoccurring unrest in the area of the federal courthouse, to protect the fence surrounding the federal courthouse was taken down Thursday, first time since last Thursday. So black-clad protesters, people dressed in all black, swarmed the Oregon courthouse Thursday night. And a group of around 50 gathered at the courthouse building. The fires were set near the courthouse, and rioters ripped down the plywood in order to break the windows of the federal building. One rioter used a scooter to smash through the courthouse there.
So what are they like? What they're protesting George Floyd, right?
Yeah.
So
and actually,
are these Black Lives Matter protests or
no, they were just people that were still protesting, but
so that doesn't sound like
yeah, but it's just that stuff still happening, and this seems, I think it was more so the riots they had recently were more so geared around no borders. I guess people were talking about borders. I got to read more on it to bring up some more stuff on it, but
borders
it was just the whole
on the city, like between state lines or something, or
I think they're saying more about the southern border. They feel that because of the Biden administration, they're going to wipe borders away, and I don't think that's the case, in my opinion. But I think what happened was that I reported an older story, but there was an article about borders, and I put up the wrong article. That was my fault to the viewers. Don't think I'm trying to put out some false stuff, but that was an old report from March when they were protesting because of George Floyd. But the recent protest was more so about no borders, and I got to read more about that. I messed up on my research there. That was my fault there. But again, talking about communication, where people need to sit down and communicate. Even like this COVID relief bill that came out, there's still disruptions and people not wanting to see that bill out there. There's so much of not talking, but people are arguing, debating, but not actually sitting down having conversations. And it could go from every topic you could imagine. I think we don't talk enough or try to understand each other enough to want to have fruitful conversation. I think it can get better if we would sit down and talk. And we were talking about earlier, the Deacons of Defense is something that I don't think many people know about. And this happened in the 60s, like 65. So I happened to watch a movie last night called The Deacons of Defense with Forrest Whitaker and Ozzie Davis. Something that I heard of the Deacons of Defense, but I never really knew. I just knew they were an armed group of black guys that protected their community. If you go back last week, we had people on last week from the Black Panthers, if you remember. We had some not Black Panthers, but people who were in the movie, the new Black Panther movie, Judas and the Black Messiah. And so it gave you some understanding of what really happened back then. That movie was very educational because it gave you a sense of knowing truth versus what we were perceived to believe growing up. And so the Deacons of Defense were these armed black men that were shooting at the Klan. That's what I heard about Deacons of Defense. I didn't know too much about it, but I've come to find out that they were actually there to protect their neighborhood from the KKK at that time. And it all started out because it was a group of people who wanted to bring back their civil rights office that was in downtown of this town in Louisiana. But the real Deacons of Defense started off in, I think it was it Jonesboro? It was Jonesboro, Louisiana, 1964. It was started by a guy named Ernest Chili Willie Thomas. Can you imagine growing
Okay.
up, Chili? My name is Chili Willie. I'm Chili Willie. Chili
Well, we
Willie
got.
Thomas and
Well,
Frederick
we
Douglass
actually
Kirkpatrick.
have. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
No, this is Frederick Douglass Kirkpatrick. They formed the Deacons of Defense and to protect the core. It's called Congress of Racial Equality against the Ku Klux Klan. And these were all like most of these guys were war veterans from World War
Hmm.
II and the Korean War, so they knew how to handle weapons. But we don't talk about that in our history books. It's something
We
that
don't.
we don't talk about. And so for us not to be able to even understand that growing up, to have because right now you see people are getting armed again, and there's a debate
Hmm.
on should we arm ourselves. And we had this conversation a couple weeks ago, I think, with Darren when he was on. And well, I'm going to ask you that of your opinion. What do you think? Do you think
For
people should
sure.
get armed? Get armed? Why?
Um. Well, because you don't want to be in a position where you're allowed to have a gun to defend yourself and you don't have one. I think that like if somebody's robbing your house and they have now I do think there are other weapons, like, I really do. You don't have to have a gun per se. That would just be the ideal weapon of choice. But I do
Yeah,
think that if it's not going to be a gun, you should be armed with something. I don't know, get yourself a taser or something. Because if somebody robs you or somebody tries to, kill you or something, you don't have any way to defend yourself. You can use your words.
right. So you're
So
looking
I
at.
do agree.
So you're saying arming against criminal activity against you, correct?
And against your family, and what do I agree with against your property necessarily? Like, if you're not in danger, then I don't think you should be trying to kill somebody that's trying to take your property. I honestly don't agree with that. I'm not gonna change my
Right,
mind on that. I don't agree, but I do think that if you are in danger and it can only go one way, you should at least have a fighting chance. I do.
right. Did you hear my dog in the background? Oh man,
Yeah.
he's loud. But no. The reason why I asked the question because it's became a. It, I've seen more African Americans arm themselves more so in fear of attacks against them personally. And
Mhm.
so I asked the question in that sense because that's why the Deacons of Defense was created because
Mhm.
they were being attacked or they felt that they were being targeted. So they had to protect themselves not only against citizens, but even against the police. So
Yeah.
um, how does that work in 2021? Do we
I,
still, is the mentality the same? Then it's like almost like you have to arm yourself out of fear, or are you arming yourself out of, fear from racial attack, or is it fear of just anyone that comes against you? So go ahead.
I was gonna say, I was just thinking about this recently where I'm like, well, why don't people just if the police are gonna get off for killing you anyway, why don't you just arm yourself so that if you need to defend yourself, you can? Because I don't know how many more times people are gonna just be unarmed and getting shot like this. I honestly don't know. We're coming to a point in our country, we're actually making history right now. So I feel like the events that are happening right now are going to be in history books. And just because as a country, we've never been here before. Well, no, we have been here before, but like I'm talking about during like the Trump administration when I mean, the racial tension was just so thick. Um, but I think that a lot of people are having the same conversations that I am, where they're just like, well, it's the same story every time, and every time this happens, the police walk. Well, what are we gonna do? Like,
Right.
I just don't know how many more times we're gonna be able to see these. We're gonna see these stories
Yeah.
where an unarmed black man or woman is shot, or something like that, or just in Rochester alone. Like, I'm tired of seeing stories about police brutality in Rochester. How many times are we gonna to see that before people just start taking it into their own hands? Like, I've been saying this for a while. Like, vigilante justice is probably gonna happen at some point. I don't want to see it. I would rather us just get the proper respect and just the basic human rights that we deserve. But I just don't see another way. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I
Well,
think about this often.
Yeah, I mean it's a really touchy subject because you talk about taking it in your own hands. Now you're committing a crime. It would
I
be
mean, no,
considered a
is
crime.
it
I
committing a
mean,
crime if a police officer pulls a gun on you and there's absolutely no reason for them to pull a gun on you and you have a way to defend yourself? It's either you or him at that point, and oftentimes it ends up being the wrong person in the
yeah,
casket. And I don't agree with police brutality. I mean I don't agree with just shooting police officers. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying.
right,
But I'm saying
right,
it's a human defense. It's a human instinct to protect yourself.
right.
And when you can't protect yourself, what do you like? Like
Yeah,
it's about self-preservation. If a gun is being pulled on you for absolutely no reason, and you've already, I mean, I just don't know. I don't know. Like this is
I
on my
I
mind
agree.
constantly. What do
And
you
when you,
do? Because if you defend yourself, you're going to jail for sure.
yeah, no,
But
you are. You're right. And well, I didn't interrupt you there, but it was like
no, no, I'm glad.
I
I'm
want people to understand arming themselves is one thing, but I think that the more and more um, people of color that are licensed gun owners who have went through the training, teaching education, continue to practice, because owning a firearm just isn't. You don't just own a firearm and think you're going to do
yeah.
any good because you don't know what you're doing. But that's what made the Deacons of Defense so great was that a lot of these guys were trained. They were
Hmm.
ex-military. They knew what they were doing. They they knew how to handle a firearm, and then not only that, they had the courage to stand up and speak first before they had to fire a weapon. It was like
Hmm.
they went to the route of speaking first. But you got to remember also during the '60s like that, it was all about peaceful protests, and I and it gets to a point where people say, well, peaceful protest isn't getting the job done. And I think that's what you saw this past summer, where you saw black militia groups come out. They start coming
Yeah,
out
that's
in
what I was
different
saying.
areas. They came out because it was like, wait a minute, why are we the only ones without the firearms? And the thing about it is, I don't want
But
to
you
see
have
it.
these groups though. They're not new. They've been
They've been out.
around.
Yeah, you got the
Um,
P. Huey
there's
Newton Gun Club. They've been out for a
I'm
while.
in I'm in Mocha Moms here, and I get invited all the time. You and your husband should come join our Black Gun Club. We learned about that, and I think that's
Yeah.
great. I don't think we're ready for that just yet, but I think it's great.
Well, you
This
say
is
who's
not
not
nothing
ready?
new.
You say
We're
who's
not
not
ready
ready
for
for that?
we're not ready for that yet. I
Who?
think we're gonna
What do
get
you
some
mean?
tasers. Me and George.
Okay.
We're we're gonna me and my husband. We're gonna probably get some tasers or something.
I'm trying to
Honestly,
understand.
I'm
What do
not
you
gonna lie.
mean? What
We
do you
probably
mean?
should.
No, what do you mean you're not ready for that yet? I want to understand
I'm
that.
not ready to have guns in the house with my daughters.
Okay, got
I'm
you.
not
That
ready
makes
for
sense.
that yet.
Yeah.
I do want to get some tasers or some because we do live in a heavy Trump area.
Okay.
It
So
ain't a
what
whole
does
lot
that
of
mean
us
to
out
you?
here.
So what does that mean to you? A heavy Trump area. What does that mean to you? Like, what do you mean by
Um,
that statement?
I mean very literally, like our neighbors, and I know who they are. We're the only two people on the side of the street. Their
No,
Wi-Fi is Trump 2020 still,
no. What is
and
that? I'm trying to understand. What does that have to
like,
do
what's the
with
threat?
being a? What's that of like? What being a gun owner? And you said you in a Trump territory. What does that
No,
mean
I
with you
mean
wanting to be a gun owner?
No, I mean, like, we need to get some sort of protection for our home, like as far as like tasers or something, because you just never know what's gonna go down. Trump supporters are they're unpredictable. You just don't know what's gonna happen depending on which way the wind blows that day for him. I don't know. If Trump says for his Trump's followers listen to him, if he tells them, however he tells them these days, I don't really know how people are communicating about him because he's not on
Yeah,
any social media, but they do have like black web or whatever stuff like that, and they have
dark
their own
web.
conversations. So I mean, if Trump were to say, hey, go and do whatever, like, not directly, but if he were to say something like that, or something that they could interpret as causing harm to someone that looks like me, we got to have something to protect ourselves, because I don't care how nice our next door neighbors are, your Wi-Fi should still not be Trump 2020.
That's
Like
their
that for me
prerogative,
is a
though. That's their prerogative. That's what they want to do.
right. I understand that, but there's come on, like,
I'm just saying. You
On.
Because
It's heavy.
think about what you're saying right now. Okay, that's like, you can't do this. You're telling people what they can't do. It's like I remember I mentioned to
I'm
Darren a
not
couple
saying
weeks
you
ago.
can't do it. I'm just saying the fact you can do what you want, but it's what you're doing is giving me a bad perception about you. Like that's shaping the way I'm seeing you was what you're doing, which is totally
Okay,
in
that
my
makes sense.
right.
That
Like
makes sense.
I mean,
That
if
makes
I'm
sense. That
there are
makes sense.
houses over here, Dad, with like the election has been long over. There are houses over here with like 20 Trump signs in the front yard. Okay, I'm gonna take that as an extremist. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. Like
Okay,
I'm
that's
done.
their right. That's their right, is what I'm
They're
saying.
right,
And
completely. They're
but
right.
you made a point. Your point was made where you said it builds a perception about someone. Um,
Hmm.
that I agree with. That I agree with. And I look at, I don't look at anybody who's a Trump supporter, um, that's still a supporter now, or even a radical supporter. It's your actions that count. It's your actions. If you show actions,
Is
no,
that not an
listen,
action?
no, listen to what I'm saying. If you show negative actions, when I say negative actions, like the Capitol incident, were actions because you were supporting a particular person and it was a negative action. Those
Hmm.
people, if I had a neighbor like that, I would be then threatened.
A neighbor that
And I would,
agreed with what happened, you mean?
right, I would be threatened by that person. Now, if you're just a supporter, there are people right now who are Obama supporters who would love to see Obama back in office. There's some radical Obama supporters out there. And I'm not saying they get,
That's
when
not
I
the
say,
same. Let's
no,
be
please
real.
listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Both men could go into election in 2024, right?
What?
Both men can go into the general election for president in
Who?
2024.
Who?
Obama and Trump.
Obama has run out twice already. He can't run again. Oh, he can run
He
the vice
can't.
president or something?
No, he can't run consecutive terms.
No,
But
you
listen,
can't be president more than 3 times, 2 times.
is it right? Is
That's
that
it.
right?
That's it, yeah.
I thought you couldn't do it consecutive times.
George Washington served 2 terms and they kind of just took made that law. Made that.
Okay. The point I was making is you have people that love those two people so much, they would like to see them in power again. Say it that way.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not the same.
but let me finish. Let me finish. What I'm
Sorry, go.
saying is, you're saying is not the same. I'm trying to tell you why they're the same. We're seeing people. Obama's been gone for 4 years, but there's people that still talk about him and his wife like they still want them there as president. Is what I'm saying. They love them that much. Well, you have Trump supporters that love Trump that much. I'm not defending him. All I'm saying is that you can't we can't say what a person shouldn't do because who they support. It's the actions that a person takes. When a person takes negative action out or responds in a way that is harmful to people around them, that's when there's a problem. So you're saying because they have a Trump 2020 Wi-Fi name, and you're like, oh,
I'm
they
sorry, I
say
just
that
do
to.
not agree with this. Um,
Well, you don't have to agree. I mean, we can agree to disagree. I'm just
this is
letting you
not.
know. You, what
You're
I'm saying is
comparing
there.
Trump supporters to supporters
It,
of Obama.
I didn't say that. I said those that love them that much. You said he's out of office. You mentioned about him being out of office, right? And you mentioned
Right.
about his support. You mentioned about his supporters, and
What
you
I'm
said how
saying
your
is,
let me. You said your neighbor still has this Trump 2020 Wi-Fi sign. I said, well, you can't. That's what they want to do. I said it's
right, they
when
can.
people, right? I said, but when people start having negative actions, I'm not supporting the people that was at the riot. I said those are negative actions. If you have
Okay,
people
so
who want to continue to support Trump, that's what they're going to do. You can't stop that.
if you're a Trump supporter, in my mind, I have already an understanding of your mindset, the type of person that you are. That's just how it
Okay.
is because of the type of
Okay.
person Trump is. And it's not like Trump is a Republican because I mean, like I'm not gonna think the same about a George Bush supporter as I am gonna think about a Trump supporter.
I
I'm not gonna
agree.
think about
I'm
them as
not
the
dis.
same
I'm in agreement with you.
because Trump has a certain I mean things that Trump has done over the course of his pregnancy of whoa presidency his presidency you know I said what did I say that his presidency And, you know, people that support him agree with, but what have you seen his supporters typically, the ones that you see on TV, the ones that you get into debates with on Facebook, are the ones that are for basically preserving the white race. Let's just get to the nitty gritty. Preserving the white race. There are
Okay.
some that want, there are some, a group of racists. There are groups of people who just who liked what he said he was going to do with his policies and
Yes.
cutting taxes and stuff like that. There's that group in the middle there. But I mean, there's a small group of people who support Trump for their own like businesses and financial gain reasons, stuff like that. The
Right.
other outside, the bulk of the other supporters are actually poor white racists
Okay.
who
So
actually
the
don't benefit from him being in office at all, but they're poor right racists. They don't benefit from the tax cuts. They don't benefit from really any of his policies other than the fact that he won't say outright that he does not agree, that he doesn't denounce racism. That's what it is. He gave them, and a lot of them have said, I feel emboldened by Trump. They are still wanting, I mean, come on, we've just seen that they
I
tried to. So when I'm saying that I have Trump support, I'm in a very Trumpy, Dad, not only am I in a very Trumpy suburb, I'm in Missouri. Okay, it's a lot of racist stuff that goes on in Missouri, okay?
right,
I don't want
right.
to point out the slave state,
So
but we are in a slave state. A lot of people's
no,
ideologies here, no
what
matter
I'm
how
saying is that
progressive, are the same.
I hearing everything you're saying. I'm not in disagreement with you. All I'm saying is that until people, we can view people how we want. That's perception, and
Right.
you're absolutely right in some of the things that you said and how you feel about it. All I'm saying, until people respond negatively, until they respond negatively, you can't change a person's mind. Is what I'm saying. You can't change.
What do you mean
They have to.
until they respond negatively? What shall I
Okay,
do between now and
th-
then? Should I be
you have
waiting
a
for them?
neighbor. You have a neighbor next door to you who's a Trump supporter.
Hmm.
He's a full out Trump supporter. He has all the flags. He got the Confederate flag in his yard. He has all this stuff. He even have a statue of Robert E. Lee in his backyard.
Y'all, that's
Okay,
not true. He's just making a scenario. So
this give me
if you just came
scenario.
in and you heard that, that's not my neighbor.
That's
He's
a
just making a
scenario.
point.
So what I'm saying is that he's your neighbor. You can't
Hmm.
stand the man because of his viewpoints, right? You can't stand him because
Right.
the way he thinks. If he hasn't, he's a threat to you because of ideology. I understand that. But you can't change that person the way he is. He hasn't changed from the
No,
inside on his own of viewpoints.
I
So,
agree.
so what I'm saying is that if he, we can't make him not put up the signs and the flags and Trump's out of office. He didn't get reelected. He didn't get reinaugurated. None of those things happen, and people think he's still going to go in there. They're conspiracy theorists, everything. All I'm saying is that you have two options. You move from where he's living, or enough people, or he has said something to you or approached you in a threatening way to where you say, I need to hold up my own arms, or you call the police because you feel threatened because this guy has threatened you already. Other than that, that's where we
Well,
are.
that's what I said. We're getting, yeah, I mean, I said that's why we need to get some tasers or something just in case, just to like
Right,
protect us because we don't know what's going to arise. I'm not going to wait for somebody to do something crazy for me to decide to get some protection in my home.
right.
Um,
So this goes all the way back to the first question when you said I live in a Trump area, and you talk about getting. You said I think we need to get armed because we in this Trump community, and I wanted to hear your explanation of why you felt like that. That was
oh,
me. That was me leading you up to a conversation of how you feel and the perception that many people have in communities where they feel surrounded by Trump supporters.
hmm,
You
yeah.
just expressed. You just expressed
I feel
something.
very threatened. I'm not gonna lie.
No, no, no. Reason why I had to go in that way so you could explain yourself, and if you could have saw your reaction, because you made this, your viewpoint to me was like, I'm supporting the Trump supporter. That's the way you look.
No, 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 no.
No, no, no.
No, I don't.
I'm just
That's
saying.
not what you were doing. I said you just can't compare Trump supporters to
No,
Obama supporters. That's all.
no. If you saw the way it looked looking at the screen as you were talking. Because reason and that was needed because people need to know why people feel threatened. Why
Right,
people you made your argument, you made your case. I'm not saying everyone's gonna agree with your case, but what
right.
I'm saying is that people are like, well, why are you scared of us? What did we do? You just made your case. You said that you felt that way, but by you just saying it just out of your mouth, I need to get armed because I'm in Trump County. Everybody's around me Trump supporter. Well, you can't just say that and expect people to say, okay, well, okay, she need to get armed because she's in Trump Town. No, explain yourself. Explain why you feel that way because you're not the only one to feel that way. There's others that feel the
Right.
same way, and that's why I said it's about the action. Everything you're saying, you're going by a person's actions that you've seen that give you a certain perception about that person. Because there was a lady that I went to work with who lived in Ohio, and it was a woman, one of the women that was at the Capitol. She was the one. What did she do? She was in the office with the guy with the horns on his head. They were sitting in someone's office, and
Oh, the
I
Ohio
asked her,
teacher who used to be a teacher. Or
right, the teacher, right.
something?
So I asked a friend of mine who's a neighbor of that lady, how do you feel now? This is even a racial issue. I said, how do you feel now? She said, I feel threatened. This is like, I can't believe this happened on my street. I can't believe this woman is in my neighborhood who would do something like that. Now, and reason why I built your story up like you did, because until a neighbor does something that you can't really, even if you think of that person might be that way, there's not much you can do. But this lady went out on an action that now put her street, her neighborhood in a bad light. Because now people are wondering, wow, does everybody in that street act like that? Does everybody in that street think like that? Does everybody in the street think that they can just overrun the Capitol like that? That's why conversations are important. If we had conversations like neighbors used to have, how people used to just sit back and talk about what's going on. Like me and my neighbor, he's a Trump supporter. Old guy, elderly guy. We're really cool. We actually look out for each other's house when we're out of town. I trust this guy with all my heart. I'm looking out for my best interests. He's not a radical guy. He's not out in the streets acting a fool. No, but we have conversations. I mean, we're talking about day one. When you ask me, so Lamar, what do you think about the upcoming election? I'm going to give you I'm going to be real and
Honestly,
flat out with
yeah.
you. I'm going to be real with you, and I'm never going to be a person that's going to just continue to bash somebody. I'm going to give your side of the story the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to listen to you, and then I'm going to question you about what you just told me. Those are the conversations. Those are the kind of conversations that we've had, and sometimes we just agree to disagree. He go back to his house with his little dog. I'll go back to my house with my big dog. And but because we have conversations, people are scared to have those upfront type of discussions.
Yeah.
Man, we could talk on this all day long, but
No, no, I
no,
was gonna say
but
we've been in here 32
um,
minutes.
yeah, but Deacons of Defense was a group of people that protected their community because they felt threatened, and it was because of racial tension in Louisiana. And I see these racial tensions building again in different communities. And that brings me up to Plano, Texas. Plano, Texas. I lived in Plano a couple years ago. Um, and there was a young kid, middle school kid, who was bullied. And it's been in the news quite often lately. And the police are now, in the school district, are now investigating racial bullying in their communities. And the scary part about this is if this investigation shows that there was a lot of things, um, if this investigation shows that there's a deep threat of bullying, racial bullying in the community, that's going to look bad for that community because it's been hidden for so long. If that's the case,
Well,
Plano was
actually,
one of the top 5 cities in the country to live. I mean, really, safety, diversity, education, all these things were true about Plano. But if there was a hidden agenda there or a hidden racial bullying that's going on, not only in schools, but in jobs or whatever, it's going to really come down because in the 90s, I think it was, Plano had this hidden secret of cocaine and drugs and pills and different things that people didn't really know about until it just kind of blew up in their face and the story came out. But it never made the public news. I found about it because the anniversary of one of the people that got caught. It was like this story they had on the local news here. But that's
Hmm.
like a hidden thing that people don't talk about in some communities of what the dirt is, and not only trying to fix the dirt, but just heal it so it don't happen again. But they hide it under the rug. What were you gonna say?
I'm gonna say, well, if I'm not mistaken, Plano is in a group of sundown towns over there, right? It may not be a
No, no, no,
sundown
no, no,
town, but
no,
it's
no,
in
no,
the
no, no.
area, right? Isn't it near Anna and McKinney?
Well, yeah, but those aren't sundown towns. They might have
Those are
used to be
sundown
sundown.
towns. I mean, they
Not
were. I
now.
mean, I'm saying,
That's
well,
that's what I'm saying. They might used to be sundown towns.
that's you were talking
Yeah,
about the history of it, so I'm trying to add some
right. Oh yeah, back
depth to
in you
that.
probably say yeah, back in the day they probably were sundown
So,
towns, but not now.
what you have to consider though when you say not now is I'm sure there are a lot of older white people in McKinney, Anna, Plano, who were alive when they were sundown towns.
Oh, definitely,
And
definitely,
then
definitely.
those people have children, and those people have children. So you
Yes.
can't think it's unreasonable to believe that. I mean, to me, I don't find it very surprising if they do find some sort of racial bullying history there because you got these same people who are raised by these racist sundown town folks. So
Okay, that could be true.
you can't say not anymore. It may not be a sundown town anymore, but the people who made it a sundown town are still running those grounds, still running around,
Oh no, that's very
and they
much true. I
have
just looked
kids
at
and they have kids, and it's all
right.
fruit of a poisonous tree. So I think we have to just keep in mind that there's no such thing as used to be a sundown town. It may not be legal to catch a
Bria.
black person after the sun goes down. Hmm?
Yeah. No, you had broke up there for a minute.
Oh,
No, no, I know. I definitely understand what you're saying. And so the Plano Police Department is investigating right now, the scene, how deep this goes and what's really happening. And also they're
they'll
looking
probably
to
find it
see,
goes very deep.
well, they want to find also if this is because they don't Texas doesn't have a hate crime law per se.
Of course
So
not.
they're gonna look and see if this is considered a hate crime, what these kids did, and how they're going to be disciplined for this.
For making
So
a kid drink his urine, definitely. There's no way to. And you know what? I know I've said this before, I'll say it again. That is a reflection of your upbringing.
it
And
is
I cannot stress this enough. Parents need to pay attention to the toxic behavior that their kids display. If your
right,
child is displaying a toxic behavior, please do not take that as a phase and that is going to pass because it is not going to pass. If they're acting like that at home, somebody at school, somebody that's not at home with you is suffering because of your child, and you need to nip that in the bud.
right,
That
right.
is
No,
how
I agree.
parents need to really take a good hard look. And then another thing is there's no way that teachers did not know that this kid was being bullied. It's impossible because
Yeah, it's been
kids
going on for
talk.
2 years, I think.
There's no way. And this is, I always say this, like I have two daughters. I
Yeah.
dread when I have to send them. I don't know if I mean I don't even know if they're going to go to school out here. We got to figure out something because I can't be going up to the school beating up teachers and kids and people's parents every week. I can't deal with it.
Well, you
Can't do
shouldn't
it.
have to. You shouldn't have to beat up teachers, but it's all about education and training, in my
I
opinion.
was joking, but
No, no, yeah, but it's about education and training. And if we're educating and training people appropriately, we shouldn't have any issues. And also, people out there that want to know that we're on YouTube, also at the bottom line, and you can catch us every Saturday here on Facebook Live. For those that want to know, I'm going to put out this shareable link for those that want to see us on, who have people who want to see this show, and they want to catch us on YouTube because they don't have Facebook. I'm going to throw this up there right quick so those can catch us on YouTube. And I
you
send
know
the
I'm gonna catch.
it's in a banner there, and I'm also going to put it in our comments for our YouTube link. But yeah, I want to see some more equality, more
Yeah,
people just really having conversations, these real conversations like we're having today. When you talk about sundown towns, I think that it's enough people in these areas, enough diversity. that the numbers
Hmm.
outweigh those who want to live that lifestyle.
Right.
Um,
Well, so I'm not saying that there can't be, I'm not saying that, you know what I'm saying, this town is still a sundown town or anything like that. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's unsafe or anything. I'm saying that you still gonna have people that think that way. And that's why
mhm.
it's not surprising if they do find a history of racial bullying that it runs deeper than this one situation because I mean, Dad, you got to think about it. These people grew up to be teachers. They grew up to be influencers in the
Yeah,
neighborhood. Their parents were running the sundown towns. I mean, this is not. And when I look at Plano, because I look at houses in Plano often on Zillow, it's a lot of
yeah,
older houses in Plano. Okay, and
mhm,
these houses look like they've been around for quite some time. It's not unreasonable to think that the people who own these houses are older people. And so
yeah,
I don't know the facts around it. I really don't. But all I'm saying is there wasn't one day where all of the sundown town people were wiped out. That's not what
yeah.
happened.
No, no,
And
no.
that
I'm not never said that.
so
Yeah.
but what I will say, good morning, Darren. Good morning. We
Hey,
miss you
Darren,
over
what's up?
here. We miss you over here in the bottom line show.
Hope everything's going
But
good with you, man.
one thing I will say though, and I might catch some flack for this, and I really hope I don't. We
Hmm.
need to start teaching our kids to defend themselves. Um, we need to start, and I don't want to preach violence, even though I just said I was going to beat up some teachers if they hurt my kid. I was joking about that, but I do think we need to start teaching our kids to defend themselves.
Yeah,
So that if something like this happens, like, and I'm not talking about just teaching them street fighting. I mean, we need to teach them some real self-defense
yeah.
moves so that they can protect themselves against attacks like these. Because I
I
mean,
was
teachers
joking
are
about
not
that,
gonna do
but I
it.
do think we need to start. That was
Uh-oh,
no, that
sorry.
was you coming in on my phone. I was trying to
Oh,
share the page. I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. I really do feel like we need to start teaching our kids to defend themselves. Because these teachers, I'm
Hmm.
telling you, I've seen so many videos. They didn't sign up to stop our kids from fighting or to stop our kids from being bullied. They signed up to be educators. So
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say a teacher should jump. I have gone to schools where teachers have jumped into the fights and
yeah,
separated
yeah,
because they grew up around it. They grew up in that neighborhood. They know you got to separate the fights. Like that's normally like the black teachers. I've never seen a
yeah.
white teacher intervene, but
Right.
we gotta teach our kids. We gotta teach our kids to defend themselves because drinking urine. Mm,
Okay.
mm-mm.
Well, what about this? There was a teacher in Arkansas who student went to the bathroom, and the student, the kid was 5 years old, and he did a number two in the bathroom, and the toilet got clogged up. The teacher made the teacher, and think about it though.
This what I'm
This is what
talking
bugged me.
about.
Well, so so the teacher made the little boy clean the toilet out with his hand. Now, this is the part that caused problems, and it's so funny because I see it on both sides of this comment I'm about to make. This has nothing to do with what you're thinking about with the story. Look at the caption. White Arkansas
Hmm.
teacher places on leave for forcing a black 5-year-old boy to unclog the toilet with his bare hands. Um, right there, it caused the racial divide. Right, the
White
statement
Arkansas teacher instead of Arkansas teacher.
to the Arkansas teacher. But hold up, that's the part that the media publicly put out there to start controversy. The second thing is it was wrong. Period. For the
Very.
teacher to make this kid do this. So I did some research. In 2015, the same thing happened, but it was a white teacher making a white boy clean out a toilet.
And they
Same
did not
exact
say
thing.
nothing about it.
And no, it was in the news, but the caption, it didn't get a lot of heat. It didn't get a lot of noise from it because it was simple. This one got more noise because of the racial tension in our country, and Arkansas says a lot. And the fact that you make this kid clean out with his hand. This white kid cleaned it out with his hand the same way. And we don't know yet if that teacher was ever fired. So we got to see how this works with this situation. But the mom is asking for the teacher to be fired. I think I have a video on that. You can go ahead and play that video if you want.
The mom is asking, listen, but this is what I'm talking about. I don't have the strength. I don't have the strength to see this. I honestly don't know what I would do. Like, I honestly cannot say that I would not put my hands on this person for making my 5-year-old child clean out the toilet with bare hands during a pandemic. My
Yeah,
dad, there would have been so, I just
it
cannot,
takes a
first
lot
of
of
all,
discipline.
it takes so much discipline because, and maybe I need to take some classes before I send my kids to school because Logan will be in school next year.
Well, I mean, I look at it the same
I
way,
can't, I
when
can't
I'm
deal with
raising
it.
kids, when I was raising you, it was the same way where, you felt that you were discriminated against or treated wrongly by a teacher and I had to come to the school. So I can't count how many times they saw my face from the time you was a kid. Every school teacher knew who Mr. Dillingham was. You know what I'm
But
saying?
I don't
So
think I've ever had a moment where a teacher has physically harmed me.
no,
And
no, 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 I'm
I
not
did see
saying
a
that.
moment where, but I say this because of this right here. I'm gonna tell you about a time in the third grade. I'll never forget it. This guy Darian. You remember my teacher, Miss Holloway, the mean old bat out of hell, Miss Holloway?
Right.
Okay. So I don't know where she is right now, Lord. I hope she's okay. But I remember this boy Darian, his mom came up to the school because we all saw this happen. He was playing with this toy in the hallway. She used to make us line up in the hallway, and we would stand up against the wall and to wait to go into the classroom. And we couldn't go in the classroom until everybody was quiet. This kid Darian had this toy in his pocket, and he kept playing with this toy. So all you hearing is this cranking sound, this clink 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 sound of his toy.
Hmm.
And he thinks it's so funny. He's laughing because like she's like, "Where's that coming from?" Ah. Well, she sees that it's him, and she takes this little boy who is very stick thin and throws him up against the wall. Literally throws him against the wall. He tells his
Oh
mom sent him
wow,
out there.
that's
Her and
not
Miss
good.
Holloway have some words. And
Right.
you know, of course, I never had thought about. We all thought it was just funny because we were kids. We thought it was funny, like Miss Holloway's getting in a fight with Darian's mom. But at the end of
Hmm.
the day, thinking back now today, I can feel her outrage. How a
Yeah.
teacher, you send your kid to school and you're expecting them to be safe and you're expecting these teachers to look out for their best interest, and to find out that this teacher is making your son clean the toilet out with his bare hands.
Right.
That makes me so angry, like, because it's just like, how do you have the right to make a 5-year-old boy put his hands in the toilet and clean it out? Why are you
You
on
know,
leave? Why are you not
you,
fired?
there's
Why
a
is there a
trauma.
leave happening?
There's a trauma that comes with that.
Yes.
And for people who have been, especially when a teacher allows something to happen, the student loses trust in the teacher.
Yeah.
Then there's psychological
Everybody
problems that
loses
come.
trust in the teachers.
Yeah, but then there's psychological impact that comes behind that, a psychological trauma that affects the kid. I was like so heartbroken yesterday. I was listening to a radio show. They were talking about this story, and the thing that caught me was that there was a guy that was 67 years old. He called into this radio show, and he was saying the story touched him. He said he thought that was over his trauma. He said, and this story brought back memories. I mean, this guy literally
Wow.
grown, 67-year-old man was crying on the radio yesterday.
Wow.
His teacher, he had to go to the bathroom really bad, and the teacher wouldn't let him go. It was a white teacher. It was a majority black classroom, and the teacher wouldn't let him leave, and he peed on himself. This happened twice in one school year with this guy, and so you think about. He said that bothered him all the way through eighth grade because he with the same kids every year, all the way through eighth grade. So they all remembered it. They teased him. They joked, and it was a trauma on him that that he just couldn't let go. And he made a good point that when you see your kid has been bullied or has been mistreated by a school official, to get that kid some psychological help. Because although we look at it as, oh, you'll get over it. But
Might not get
no,
over
you don't
it.
get over it. So I heard three stories yesterday, and I've heard grown adults cry on the radio yesterday because
Oh no. Uh-oh. Looks like we lost Lamar. Okay, so We lost Lamar, but he will be back. Let's see here. Yes, Darren, that is absolutely terrible, and it should be a criminal. Um,
Man,
Criminal for a teacher to look like that. I absolutely agree.
can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, you're back. Well, I don't know what happened.
Man, I was clicking my mouse, wasn't paying attention, and I clicked right off the screen. That was one of them
Yeah.
most embarrassing moments. You know what I'm saying?
No,
But
no. The bad was I was like,
let me put the mouse down. That was
what was
hilarious.
bad was what was bad was
What was that?
was I was like when you dropped off the screen, I was like, oh, okay.
That was some
And
trauma
I,
for you, right? That was some trauma.
and I
This just
started
bothered me so bad. I just left the scene. I was like,
and
man.
so I started bringing up topics. I'm like, well, he will be back, and then I started bringing up the comments.
I was like, I had a flashback and the screen just went black. No, but on
Chad,
the
that
real
was
note, it was yeah, but that brought a lot of I saw a lot of trauma. I heard a lot of people tell me their trauma, their stories, and it brought my it didn't bring me to tears, but I was like on the edge of just
yeah.
being broken because I I never experienced bullying or anything like that to where somebody will bring me trauma to where it really affects me to this day. And that little boy cleaned out that toilet. Now, will the trauma? Apparently, he was traumatized because he told his mom. But will the trauma be even greater now because of the media attention? Do you think?
Um, if they don't it discloses the identity, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think he's gonna be traumatized anyway. Let me try to pull this banner back up. But I feel like if they conceal his identity, I know they didn't, did they? They already
No,
I
they're
haven't
not
read
going.
the
They're
article.
minors. Those are minors. They got his name is out there, but the suspects are they're hitting their identity and their families and everything. So
No,
that's
you
not going
mean
to come
the
out.
victim? So the
The
5-year-old
victim,
boy is
yeah,
okay, good.
his name
Okay,
is
I was
his
gonna
name.
say if
His
he's
name is
is
out there. His name is out there. You know
good.
his name.
Okay. I didn't even know it was a man. So that's new information. But I
Yeah,
think that the trauma will be there because he's gonna remember that. Because I mean, he's definitely gonna remember that.
yeah,
Um, but I think that as long as his identity stays concealed and he doesn't really get any attention from the media for himself, I
yeah,
think that he'll heal better, I guess.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
going to your bullying point, like I can honestly say that bullying does stick with you. I've been bullied before, and that
Yeah,
stuck with me. I mean, that sticks with me today. Like, I mean, it's something that you got to learn how to just let go.
yeah,
It's very hard to let go. Even as an adult, like when you're an adult and you run into your childhood bully,
yeah,
those same feelings are still there. They're still there.
yeah.
I haven't run into them in person, but they're around. But I mean, it's just that goes to my point. Please teach your kids how to defend themselves, y'all. Please.
Right.
It will do some good for them. But
Somebody made a comment. They said, "I guess racism is a side effect of elevated blood sugar now." That was from Dan Finley. Oh man. Oh gosh. But no, but go ahead, Bree. I didn't mean to cut you off. What you were saying?
no, no, that was it. Teach your kids to
Yeah.
defend themselves. But
I'm
I
gonna
don't
give
know
you a
what's
lighter.
the we can't teach your kids to defend yourself against to defend themselves against teachers. I don't know that this teacher should be fired. He shouldn't be placed on leave.
Yeah. No, I
That
totally
shouldn't even
agree.
happen.
And while we're still talking about some things with racism, these guys should never have a job again. Did you bring the story up about the basketball game? Did
Oh,
you?
I did not, but I can grab it
Okay.
right now.
No, I got it. I'll share it. I'll share my
Okay.
screen. So,
Yeah,
give you a little
that was
backdrop on the
ooh.
story. There was these guys. They're announcers at a high school. It was a high school, I think, high school basketball game, and I think it was a girls basketball game, and some women kneeled during the anthem, and then we have these comments from the announcers, and they use racial slurs in describing these people that were kneeling. And there's no way in the world that these announcers should ever announce another high school game again in their life, a game period in their life. In my opinion, these are the people that would be too coward to even come out and say this to a person's face. They're cowards to say this,
Yeah.
especially talking to young kids. They're describing our young leaders of tomorrow, describing these young people. So I'm going to show this video right quick. Let you guys see this.
It's not playing. We can't hear anything.
Oh, let me bring this back. So you didn't hear any audio coming from that?
You can.
You
I
didn't hear any
think
audio?
you can turn it up.
Let me try it again. Here we go. Try it again. See if you can hear it this time.
And we will be right back here live after the national anthem, ladies and gentlemen. It's not North. It's not? They're green and white. Oh, shit. They're kneeling? I hope Norman gets their ass. Are you sure? That's Midwest City, kneeling. Isn't it? Huh? Norman. Fuck that. I hope that way. Come on, Midwest City. They're gonna kneel like that? Hell no. They even split the flight? Some of them are. What they think
So that's when they get caught, and they realize that they were on a hot mic. The engineer, the audio technician, cut the mics off. Now the audio off. Now the thing that bothers me about that is that two things. I mean, you're gonna have private conversations in settings like that. I can imagine. But the audio person wasn't paying attention to allow that to go that far. Though you can hear the audio in the background there, but to call somebody, some young people, racial slurs, and not only that, we're still not respecting each other's right to express ourselves. If you're still complaining about disrespecting the flag and the anthem, and it's March 2021, you've had your head in a hole for the past 4 to 5 years. There's no way possible you can sit up and say this is about the flag or the anthem itself or our military, because it's a complete lie. You're in a state right now, you're in a mindset of saying you don't care. You're in a mindset right now of with purposeful intent, pushing the conversation aside. You're pushing what's real aside, and you're putting in your mind what you feel and what you think is the truth here, and which is not the truth. It's sad, in my opinion. Instead of having a conversation saying, you know what, let's get those young people who was kneeling on the floor as adults, let's get these young people, let's have a forum, let's talk about this. But instead, you want to have what you thought was a private conversation with your sidekick, and now you've been exposed. God is continuing to expose people. I mean, of all places, they're being exposed daily and daily because they can't keep their mouth shut or check their feelings, just getting reality of what's really happening and making these kind of comments. And with that, I'm done with it. Sorry, did you have anything?
I think that these types of situations, as angering as it is, like it makes you mad, right? Seeing that that made you really mad. It made me really mad. But it's important that these kind of things that it's caught and that it's recorded and that it's documented, because these are the conversations that we can have when it comes up, as far as like, well, this is not a race situation. This has nothing to do with race. These are the situations that prove that it is. Like I said, kneeling during the national anthem, it's not. It's for racial equality. That's what it is. That's what it's
Yeah.
for. If you're
Right.
protesting it, if you're saying that that's wrong, there's no other reason other than that you're racist. And I'm not saying that these men on this recording think the same. Everybody thinks like them. That's against kneeling for the national anthem. But it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard not to think that when this is the same kind of attitude that you get from everybody who does not agree with it. Everyone who is against kneeling, it's like they kind of have the same rhetoric, the same things are coming out of their mouths, and this is the kind of stuff that you picture them saying when no one's listening. This is exactly
Right.
what I picture people that don't agree with kneeling saying.
Yeah.
People that are really outraged by it. This is what I picture them saying. This is exactly what I'm not. That was not surprised by any of it.
Right. No, that's probably not. They
Um,
won't say it to your face, but
no,
they'll say it in their private time with someone else instead of
right.
having instead of coming to me and say, let's have a conversation of let's get the understanding of the why do you feel this way? Why is that the truth? You know,
The other
um,
thing that strikes me is this. The other thing that really bothers me is that when you read the article for this, the school does not. The school acts like they're making a guess as to who it is. They're
yeah,
saying, well, we know it's the commentators, or we know that, and we're not gonna let them attend the other games for the rest of the finals or for the rest of
yeah,
the championship season. And I'm gonna get to this in 1 second, but that made me mad too because you're protecting the people in this video.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you know when the game was. It's not like you don't know what day this was, and you know who was commentating that day.
Right, right.
You have record of this. And if you don't know, the audio man sure knows. So why in this article are you protecting these people who are making these racial slurs to your students? Your
Yeah,
obligation is to protect the
right,
students.
right.
So that video made me mad for a number of reasons. Like it's layers of it. But he said so Darren said I saw this actually, not to mention that this announcer should be gone. Why was he talking during the anthem? Exactly.
Yeah. Isn't it?
Exactly.
They think it's disrespectful for these people to kneel during the anthem, but yet he's talking, using profanity and degrading another American at the same time while the
Yeah.
anthem's playing. I'm like, really?
And you can't, this is why you cannot say that it's anything about anything other than race. You can't.
He just exposed it, and he's not the only one that thinks like that. That's the crazy part. I mean,
Yeah.
you're literally putting down another American citizen, but not only a group of American citizens while the anthem is playing.
Right.
It's like, okay, how patriotic are you really? You know what
That
I'm saying?
it has nothing to do with patriotism. It has nothing to do
None,
with
none.
it has nothing to do with disrespecting the flag, disrespecting the veterans. It has nothing to do with that because this is exactly what the conversation is behind the scenes. This is the conversation. Because if it wasn't the
Right.
conversation, you would see black people on board with this same thing. You no, or Asian people or Hispanic people. The only
You have
people who are
some.
on
You have
board with
some.
this,
You have
I mean,
some.
it's a sprinkle,
Right,
and that's
right,
a brainwash sprinkle. Because
right,
when you look at this is the conversation that is this is the these are the conversations that are being had. I like Darren's other point when he says we have to stop treating the anthem like a religious requirement.
right.
I
Hmm.
absolutely agree.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree. I agree.
yeah.
Um, because even though there is a national anthem, we won't even get into, the words of the national anthem and how that came
Right,
about and what the history of that. Well, that's another conversation for another day. But you're absolutely right because some people they just don't agree with this. Some people don't want to stand for the national anthem. Some people feel like they've
right,
been wronged by this country, and they have the
right,
right as American citizens to feel that way.
right. So you said about how people should feel. This is the one that's really getting me. Okay, how people should feel. This is funny to me.
Hmm.
Well, first, actually, you want to bring up something before I go into this. No, we'll go here first. I gotta make it a little lighter. How people should feel. There are people in an outrage because Pepe Le Pew is being canceled, and he's not going to be in the new Space Jam. Um,
Yeah.
I
Let's get into
mean,
that.
I mean, I had somebody actually compared Pepe Le Pew being canceled to taking Aunt Jemima off the shelf.
What?
Because they
How?
took remember
Where is
Aunt
that?
Jemima, they took her picture, they were changing the picture of Aunt Jemima because it was
Because
this
it's racist.
right. So somebody was saying they taking Aunt Jemima off the shelf, Pepe Le Pew. I was like, wait a
How are
minute,
these the same thing?
totally different.
Who said
I'm like,
that? You don't have to put them on
if you
blast.
saw a guy acting like Pepe Le Pew with your daughter, you shoot him.
He'd be in
You know what I'm
jail,
saying?
or yeah, or dead.
Go ahead and play the video, Bria. This is hilarious to me.
That is
Pepe Le Pew.
crazy.
Oh, the adoration. Oh, the je vous adore. The je t'aime à vous, c'est my sugar, n'est-ce pas? You are my peanut. I am your brittle. Darling, you found me. How sweet. How clever. We will never part again. Ah, my little darling, it is love at first sight, is it not? No? Do not come with me.
Right after Dr. Seuss was put on blast for racist depictions, another nostalgic memory is being called problematic. Pepe Le Pew. If you want to stay up to date on viral stories like these, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. I'll wait. Oh, you done? Thank you. Charles M. Blow wrote an op-ed article for the New York.
I ain't gonna hear no more about him right now, but he's gonna go and give his commentary. We can give our own commentary.
That was
But
disturbing.
I did get that video off of YouTube. But the point with that was making that hilarious is that okay, we know what we just saw.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're defending like not taking him off TV, there's a problem. Okay, now you have to look at who created Pepe Le Pew. The name Pepe Le Pew is discriminating to the French. To even say Pepe Le Pew, you know what I'm saying?
It doesn't mean
So,
anything. It just sounds like they just got together and said, "That sounds French. Yeah, let's just name him Pepe Le Pew." And so now you're adding this. You're putting this perception of French people on and people. You're creating this narrative that French men are Pepe Le Pew. A man that sounds like a French man that sounds like Pepe Le Pew must be very just overly aggressive and just you know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's not what everybody thinks, but that's what I get from it. And you know what? I think it's a great conversation for us because you're a man and I'm a woman, and I think it's interesting to see like growing up. How did you feel about Pepe Le Pew?
I thought he was over aggressive too, but I never looked at it as because we were so used to seeing men that were over aggressive through TV, movies, everything. It's like you take the woman, you know what I'm saying? You grab her, you just grab her up, you do what you want to do. And not saying that we knew it wasn't right, but
Right.
it was accepted. It was almost like you knew it was accepted. Now, the question I have for people who are offended by Pepe Le Pew being canceled, what if you put all those men that we've seen over the years, just in the last 2 years, 3 years, who've been charged with, put Bill Cosby's face on Pepe Le Pew.
So put Mitch McConnell's face on Pepe Le Pew.
Has Mitch McConnell? Wait, hold on.
Put the other guy.
Well, hold on. So,
Don't put Bill Cosby up there.
Is there something with Mitch McConnell that we don't know about?
Wasn't he? Oh, maybe it wasn't Mitch McConnell. I thought
before he was. That's Anthony Cuomo. Anthony Cuomo in New York.
No. I'm talking about before Mitch McConnell was confirmed. Let me hold on.
Not
Mitch
you talking about
McConnell didn't
Kavanaugh.
have
You
a
talking about
oh
Kavanaugh,
Kavanaugh. Sorry, y'all.
the
I'm sorry.
judge, the
'Cause I was
Chief
about to
Justice.
pull up Google. Sorry, I
No,
meant to
not Mitch
see
McConnell.
Kavanaugh's what I'm
So
talking about.
now, go ahead and correct yourself in front of the public.
I am sorry. Okay, we've had a few today, Dad.
I
But
corrected
yes,
mine.
no,
I stood up and corrected my
I was wrong.
mistake.
I meant to say Kavanaugh, you guys. I'm sorry.
Of
I
course, you
knew.
broke up during that time.
I'm really sorry about that. But no, don't put Bill Cosby up there. Put the other. Who's the other guy that was in
No,
Hollywood?
you
All
got to
those
put Bill.
actresses.
You got to put Bill there.
The reason why I say don't put
You
Bill there is because, well,
put Bill there because
you
Bill
can
there.
put Bill.
Bill's locked up, brain hair. Okay, he's in jail right now. So
But
we
the
got to
way
put
I
Bill.
feel like Bill Cosby's
Hold on.
situation had a lot of stuff that did. Okay,
Was he a Pepe Le Pew when those women got high? Was he a
definitely a
drug
Pepe
those
Le
girls?
Pew.
He was a
Definitely
Pepe Le
Pepe.
Pew. Okay,
Yeah, put
so
Bill
that's gonna
Cosby's
be the
face on
new.
Pepe
That's
Le
gonna be
Pew.
the new
Okay.
term, right? That's gonna be the new term, right? When you see somebody, hey,
Was he a Pepe Le Pew?
look, was he a Pepe Le Pew? Slow down now. Now
That is
check
the
this
most
out.
uncomfortable thing that I just had to sit through, though. Like, that was very uncomfortable.
Now you got to put Brett Kavanaugh there because he was accused of being a Pepe Le Pew. You got the guy from I think it was NBC. He was a host of one of those morning shows. I can't think of his name right now. He was a Pepe Le Pew. You know, you got Anthony Cuomo that's going through it right now in New York. You know, he's been not that he was overly aggressive, but he made comments that was probably inappropriate. So he's like on a borderline Pepe Le Pew. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
it's over the years you've seen this and we've accepted it. Now we put Matt Lauer. Thanks, Dan. Dan said Matt Lauer. And Jeff said Pepe Le Pew
Mm.
equals Governor Cuomo. So, and believe me, I'm not making light of sexual harassment. It's
Right.
just I'm trying to make the conversation. We can have the conversation about this and using a cartoon character to where we can have fun with this, and not to have fun and to put down those women or to say that their circumstances was not serious. Sexual harassment is serious, and you were going to make a comment about being uncomfortable, Bria. What was that?
So, as a woman, I will say this. No. Let's just go back in time when I was a little girl, and the Pepe Le Pew segments would come on. Uh, I always, from being a little girl watching Pepe Le Pew, always thought it was extremely uncomfortable and really rapey. Like,
Wow.
very, like, as a young child,
Right.
I knew that it was wrong.
Right.
I was
Right.
just like, and I think we would just turn the channel or something. Like, it was very uncomfortable as a
Mm,
girl. I think that women like this Pepe Le Pew rings true, especially this clip, because this is what all the whole show was about,
mhm.
right? So this rings true for a lot of women, especially in corporate America, especially in DC, especially any woman trying to climb a corporate ladder or trying to heighten her career who has an over aggressive boss or somebody who they, you know what, I will say this. I'm gonna tell you a story.
No names, please.
No names. Those
Okay.
are no names. There's a woman. She had a coworker who was this is a first-hand story. Like, this is true. This is not he said, she said. This actually happened.
Mhm.
Okay, she had a coworker, and this coworker was very aggressive all the time. Like, his language was just downright wrong. Like, he was very sexist, very he would say inappropriate comments. She goes to HR and she says, "Hey, listen, I'm very uncomfortable. I have to go on business trips with this person. I don't
Mhm.
feel okay with this. He's saying stuff to me or saying things in front of me that I just don't appreciate as a woman." Dad, that man is her boss.
Wow.
That man now is her boss. She got promoted
Mm.
and she quit. She quit.
Yeah.
This rings true for so many women because in a world, and it's a man's world, in a world where men, your supervisors and your bosses, and then you want to sue for wrongful termination and they flip it on you like you did something wrong.
Right.
So this is like, and to know that some white men sat together and decided that this would be a funny idea to put on children's TV is mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
That people are even upset about Pepe Le Pew being gone. He should have been gone.
Yeah.
So,
Never
Can't even.
never should have been created.
Never should have been created. How did that pass? I don't even understand how that passed the board. Who
Nope.
thought that was a good idea and decided to put it on and let it run for the many years that it was on TV?
Well, you got to look at who runs TV, who created the cartoon,
Hmm.
all that. Who was the audience? Remember,
Yeah.
the audience, the greater audience. That was a
And
life
you
that
know
they
what else?
sponsored.
They're also changing Lola Bunny's outfit on the Space Jam. They're changing the way she looks too,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
also very good
yeah,
because when you look at the first Space Jam, Lola Bunny looks very sexualized.
yeah.
Why are you
Well, think
sexualizing?
anytime you saw a cartoon bunny, they were sexualized. Even Bugs Bunny's girlfriend, remember, she was sexualized.
That is Bugs Bunny's
Um,
girlfriend.
well,
No?
yeah, I'm talking about
Lola
not the
Bunny?
space, but actually in the cartoon, the Bugs Bunny cartoon. There was every now and then a female rabbit was in the cartoon. It was every now and then. It
Oh, that's
was
not
just
Lola?
I don't know if her name was Lola or not, but it was in the Space Jam. It was Lola. I'm
Oh,
not sure,
I
but
don't
you didn't see her.
know.
It was a different looking rabbit. It wasn't the same looking
Oh,
rabbit you saw in the cartoons. It was. You're right. It was overly sexualized in the movie.
completely overly
Right.
sexualized. And I don't understand. I will say that TV has gotten really sensitive since then. Like
Jessica
there's been
Rabbit
a
was
lot
another one. Jessica Rabbit was another one.
on
Jeff brought
Roger
that one up.
Rabbit.
Yeah,
Now, what I will say about that is that was not necessarily a kids movie. That was kind of in the middle. So, but they did sexualize her to way,
yeah.
way overly, just like they over sexualized Betty Boop. Um,
But Betty Boop, that
it's
came from a
actually
black
Dorothy
woman.
Dandridge. Yeah, Dorothy Dandridge.
No, there was another woman that Betty Boop was after, and that came after. That was I gotta find it. Anyway, that's another story. But there was someone else that was Betty Boop. It's a whole history behind Betty Boop.
That's why I
Um,
said, I
but
don't know if I should put that in her in
look,
there.
look it up. No, look
But
it up.
yeah.
I just read the story, and it wasn't
No, I
Dorothy
said I
Dandridge.
don't know if I should have put Betty Boop in that category. I take it
But
back.
yeah. But anyway, you can put anybody's face on Pepe Le Pew, and it may change your perception of you think this should be gone or not.
And
And the
everybody
thing
knows it's
about it,
Pepe Le Pew.
and the argument right now is over like the top. We brought it up. We made fun of it. We laughed with it. But I think the story is getting too right now. I think it's just too much. It's not even necessary.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't
it's
see
like it's
how
not
people
even an
can have a
argument.
problem with that.
It's a debate for nothing. I mean, it's like it's crazy. So as we
You know
continue
what
to
this
move
sounds
on,
like? This is like people being mad about racist statues being taken down.
right, right, right,
How
right.
can you
I
have
mean, and like Dr. Seuss is not even canceled. They took 6 books away, not the whole catalog. It took 6
they should have
because they were
canceled him all the way. Great books, but
well.
when you find
I
out what it
mean, you
was,
gotta some
no. Did
things.
you see his earlier earlier comics?
Well,
They're
yeah. I mean,
pretty bad.
I grew up with Dr. Seuss, so it's like you got to look at what is really worth canceling and what's not worth canceling. Pepe Le Pew is worth canceling, like
Worth
major.
canceling.
It's worth canceling because there's
Yeah.
trauma behind that. I don't know too much trauma. You just told me about a story from when you was a kid watching Pepe Le Pew. You
Yeah.
don't have a trauma story with Dr. Seuss.
Reading those comics was traumatic.
Really weren't. Not like watching Pepe Le Pew.
It was, but think about it. But think about it. Let's say today an author came out and they got kids books, and these kids books are awesome. Like everybody loves these kids. Everybody's buying these kids books and they're reading them to
Mhm.
their kids. And then you find out that this is today. You find out that they used to write racist comics in a news comic strip,
Right, they
and
did.
it was highly offensive. But I'm saying like think about if it was today. Like think about if it was today and the person was still walking around and
Yeah, we'll
you
take it
know
out.
they
It'd be
got
like
these
get them
books.
out.
Right,
Right.
you would cancel all the books,
I'm
not
not
some of the
saying.
books.
I'm not saying. Only point I was making was that there's a group of people are angry saying Dr. Seuss is canceled. My only statement was that they're only taking away 6 books. So you're saying
Oh,
cancel the whole catalog. Okay, I'm not saying that's a bad thing either. I mean, I think all of that particular part of it is getting a lot more press than necessary right now, in my
I
opinion.
agree. I
I mean,
agree.
it's like you know what's right and you know what's wrong. It's like you don't need to have a big and like Darren said, I disagree that Sue should be totally canceled. I'm kind of in the balance with that. I mean, it could not. I don't give a crap you cancel them or not, in my opinion. But I think that right
I
now,
just
with
won't
so
be
much
reading
going on
my
in that
kids
world,
any Dr. Seuss books.
I'm just saying that since everything is going on right now, they're getting this is too much popularity off of that, in my opinion.
I
Um,
agree. It
and
seems like it's
so,
just pointless.
right, I mean, it's like okay, you cancel them, you move on. But to bring a brighter light, when we had a lot of kid stories today, didn't we?
We did.
We
Got
did a lot
dark
of kid
too. It
stories.
was not as
Yeah, yeah.
let's
But
get a
this
good kid
story,
story. Come on, bring that one in.
well, this story is pretty good right here. You can go ahead and show that video. It should be in there about Zoe. I'll let you read the video. Then we'll talk about Zoe.
Okay.
The first time I saw Zoe for myself in person, you get the sample from the factory, and like I opened the box and I'm like, wow, this is real. This is a real doll, and I made this. It's weird. I am a first-generation Haitian American. I went to the Rhode Island School of Design where I studied illustration. I was inspired to create more diversity in my work as an illustrator because of my peers and going to this institution and recognizing the lack of representation I had as a young girl. So Hollywood started as a class project where I redesigned Rapunzel and I turned her into a little brown girl with kinky curly hair to show that little brown girls can be princesses too and be beautiful just the way they are. And all of my classmates saying, oh my God, this looks like a doll. Have you thought about making a doll? And me being like, no, but let me think about it. Healthy Roots Dolls is a multicultural children's product company, and our first doll is Zoe, and she teaches girls how to love their curls because she has hair that you can wash and style just like your own. I did research where I learned that toys influence how kids think, act, and see themselves. When little girls can't find dolls that look like them, it negatively impacts their self-esteem. I started working on Healthy Roots Dolls as a multicultural children's product company to create the representation that I didn't have growing up, because more than 50% of children in the US are of color now, but if you go down a toy aisle, you don't see that represented there. I applied for the Brown University Social Innovation Fellowship and got $4,000 to work on the project during the summer. From there, I went to the Mass Challenge Accelerator program and turned that $4,000 into $50,000 on Kickstarter to launch our first doll, which is Zoe. I want her to be someone that inspires people, and I want her to be someone that pushes children to be their best selves and to advocate for others. We get lots of compliments on the sculpt, the fact that she has this beautiful full round nose that you don't often see, the full lips, the little blush on the cheeks, her eyebrows are on fleek. Her hair is her best feature. You can wash it and put like shampoo and conditioner. We do box braids, bantu-knots, all the different types of hairstyles. I really want to see my customers playing with that more, because we talk about like you can do rainbow braids or you can do cotton candy colors. Like, go for it. Be as expressive with your hair as you want to be. And so that's what I think makes Zoe really unique, is she allows little girls to express themselves in their hair in a way that they haven't been before.
I looked at her hair first, because I saw her hair and I just thought it was really pretty hair, and I like how she looked. I like to play with Zoe. Other dolls, like they can still be black, but they will have straight hair. So I like that her hair was like all curly and I could do hoofs and stuff instead of just ponytails. Even if your hair is different, your hair still can be very beautiful.
It's kind of crazy to think about how we're defining memories for children for their lifetime. It's exciting, for sure.
What you think?
Yay! Wow. Okay, I gotta get Logan a Zoe doll. Wow.
So seeing that by you being a girl, and I just had this debate a couple weeks ago with somebody about gender toys, and so it was so now I bring this article up because it's geared toward girls. You didn't see a little boy braid the hair. Not saying it's wrong for a little boy to braid the hair, but that was the debate we had a couple weeks ago. But anyway, you as a girl, you growing up as a girl with dolls, what does this do for you? What does this mean to you? What was your emotion, that feeling inside of you watching that video?
You know, I always have a story for stuff for some reason, but okay, I'm gonna tell you a story. So I remember when I was 6 years old, and mom used to, whenever a tooth would come out or something, mom would put something under my pillow, right? That's Did I do that right? Yeah. So I remember being 6 years old, and I don't remember if this was a tooth or my birthday, but I do remember mom snuck she snuck a Barbie under my pillow. Okay. And I think I was supposed to say sleep or something, but I woke up and she was like, okay, come down to the playroom. Remember the playroom we had on
Yeah,
146?
right,
Okay, so
right.
it was like super early in the morning, like 5 in the morning or something. The sun hadn't come up yet. We were in that playroom playing with Barbie dolls. Like she got two
Mm,
Barbie dolls for me.
Yeah.
And granted, Bryce did pop one of the heads off those Barbie dolls eventually, but we'll get to that another time. So, but I remember that the dolls that she got me, they were both white dolls. But you can tell that she tried to get the darkest complexion of that white doll that she could find. Okay?
That sounds like her, don't it?
Because the doll had dark hair and black hair and really tan skin. And then the other doll was white. So, this doll right here it just makes me so happy that she really did take on this project to give little black girls a doll that really looks like them and doesn't have hair that, you know, just is gonna kink up every time you touch it, but that they can actually do the hair for these dolls. Like, you can actually put products in these dolls' hair. You can actually twist the doll's hair because let's be real, when you give a little girl a Barbie doll or a baby doll, the first thing they do is they do their hair. They want to put stuff in their hair and brush
Yeah.
their hair. Like my daughter Logan, she has two Baby Alive dolls that she got, one for her birthday and one for Christmas, and they're both black Baby Alive dolls. They're so cute. They have this curly hair, and I mean, I love these dolls because one, they're two black dolls. They don't look the same because they try to make all black dolls for some reason look the same. They all look the same. I have no
Okay.
idea why.
I didn't realize that.
These two dolls look different. They look like they could be cousins, and they look like they're related to Logan. So Logan
Okay.
loves these dolls, and then you and Cheryl sent her a black baby doll as well. And I'm not saying every baby doll has to be black, in your collection. It can be a diverse collection, but it is important for, like she said in the video, for kids, for little black girls to see a representation of themselves. Because when you go in the stores, you go down that Barbie doll aisle or that baby doll aisle in Target, it's like a little small, tiny section of little black baby dolls. It is so hard to find a good black baby doll that reflects your child. Like that, what I'm saying, that looks like your kid, because either the doll has black with straight hair, or the doll is black with Eurocentric features, or you got the LOL dolls where the dolls are black, but they got these huge boobs and big butts, and who wants to get that for their little girl? So this Zoe doll, I think I'm gonna look into this, and I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
get Logan one. This is great. This is great. I am
Yeah. I
on
mean,
board.
I
That girl is
wasn't familiar
phenomenal.
with it. Yeah. Yeah. She's just 9 years old. The dog's been out 9 years. Zoe and her mom Eva started the beautiful Curly Me. It's a line of black dolls featuring curly and braided hair. The duo says they were inspired to create the toys after Zoe began questioning why her hair didn't look like the hairstyle of the other girls at her school. And that's how I got started. So
Wow.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I have a picture here of. Let me find it here. I might be able to put it up for you to show you a picture right quick of. I'm assuming this is Zoe. I need to get that, find out for sure before I throw the picture up there. Ivana, who I'm throwing a picture of.
I can try to find one.
Ivana and Zoe. This is the mom and daughter who created Zoe. And man, see, that's what happens when you try to take a picture off the internet of something, and you're trying to get the save as, and it's keep telling you want to give it to you as a web page. But yeah, I think I got a picture.
You got to double click on the picture, so
I got it now. Yeah, I'll be forgetting sometime. You know how it is. I'm getting old. I used to have you as my producer while I would be focusing on the show, so I'm trying to do a couple of both jobs. But yeah, where do we put the Zoe doll? I just had a picture. But another kid that another issue with it, I don't see the picture anywhere, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. But another thing that bothered me this week was a family here. You can bring up the picture that says mask. Texas did the mask thing. They brought the mask, and they updated. What do you call it? Took away the mandate for a mask. And so this family here, see if I can get on this side of the screen. That way you can see me on the side of the screen a little bit. Or you gotta go on the other side. There you go. That will be on both sides of the picture. So this little girl has a breathing issue, and she has cerebral palsy. And if I can find a story here, but they went to Whole Foods, and they were stopped because they didn't have their mask on. Now, last week we talked about a person who purposely went to Trader Joe's to start an argument and then put his kids in the middle of it, who weren't handicapped or didn't have any health issues. But he wanted to bring up the fact that health issues can stop. You can't stop people for health issues. They don't want to wear a mask. But this little girl has an issue. The mom and dad went to Whole Foods and they were stopped. They went through the doors anyway, and then people came around and made them escort them back out. And finally, the manager called and said that there was a mistake. The daughter does have health issues, and she can't wear a mask because of injury from when she was a kid. She only gets 50% oxygen to her brain. And so that's what I was saying before, that that these
Well, did her
issues
parents wear
across,
masks?
that's the other issue. Her parents should have had a mask on. They didn't either, as
I
far
was
as I
gonna say,
understand.
because it seems like they're using their daughter's health issues to skirt wearing masks in this establishment
True.
that clearly has a mask
And
mandate.
that could be the case. But the thing about it is that this argument is going to be a continual argument across the country until we have structure, until we have specific rules and regulations in place. Not only that, it may come a point where you have state laws, like in Texas, you have what you call private property rights. As a private
Okay,
company,
that's all I'm gonna say.
I can say what you can and cannot do in my place of business. And if you violate that, and I call the police, you can be given a ticket for trespassing, and you can be banned from my establishment for a year. Do every state have that in place? I don't know, but if you put a law in place like that, where this mask thing becomes a social issue, a social divide, like it has, if it becomes greater, and a company has a right to deny people, will it become a discrimination issue later? Do you think? Will it be a
Yeah,
discrimination issue where you're
no. So
discriminating against people with masks versus masks? Like if I have a mask on, will a company owner say you can't come into my store because you got a mask on, just
no.
to
I
discriminate against me?
I think that I think this. I don't I feel like mask mandates by store, like you can't come into my store unless you have a mask on during the pandemic, is no different than no shoes, no shirt, no service.
Okay,
I feel like it's the same thing. If a store can say you can't come in my
right,
store establishment without a shirt on, you gotta have shoes on, you
right.
gotta have um what is it? Yeah, you gotta have shirt and shoes on to
No
come in
shirt,
my
no
store.
shoes, no service. No shirt, no shoes, no service.
I think that it's the same thing because at the end of the day, you're really just protecting the people in your establishment.
Yeah, right.
That's
I
what
agree.
that's what you're doing. You're also protecting yourself and your establishment because if somebody catches COVID in your store,
Yeah,
can they then file a lawsuit against you? You just don't know. Why not be safe than sorry? Why are you putting your
right,
employees in danger? Why are you putting your customers in danger?
right.
My thing too is that I understand it's a hassle to wear a mask. Like it's
Hmm.
hard to breathe sometimes underneath the mask. Your glasses get foggy,
Yeah,
whatever. But at the same time, it's just like wear the mask until the pandemic is over. If think about it from the beginning, if everybody just wore masks from the beginning and
yeah.
social distance, we could have been well past this by now.
I agree. I think so.
So
I think
I
so.
don't feel like it should be a problem for stores to have that rule. Every store has a set of rules, policies that
Right.
customers are allowed to do and can't do. So I don't know if it's going to become a divisive issue in the future, like as far as like are you going to
It's
get kicked
it's
out for
getting there.
wearing a mask? Uh,
Yeah, but it's
I
getting there
think that there
though.
are going to be people who are walking through the store and harassing people who are wearing masks. Because
Right,
we've seen that in the past already. There's precedent
right.
for it. We've already seen people walking through Target harassing people for wearing masks and calling them out because they're trying to be safe. So
I don't
speaking of
understand that.
masks,
I don't understand that part. How are you harassing others who are wearing one in the store? Like, why would like? I don't understand that. I can
because they're
see if
saying like, why are you wearing a mask? You don't have to wear a mask. Take your mask off. Like
right.
it's dead. I'm with you. It sounds stupid, is what it sounds like. It just sounds dumb. It doesn't. It just sounds dumb.
I
Like
don't get it.
I can't even rationalize it. That's how dumb it sounds. It just
I
doesn't
mean,
sound.
like you're speaking about that. I'm just reading this article right now. It says study shows states with Republican governors saw the highest corona cases and deaths. That was from March. Oh, so that's an old article. That's an old article. I should have read the date on that. You gotta always read
But
dates.
but speaking of masks, though, on your end, can you show videos from your end now? Like share to the.
Hmm.
Do you want to look up that video of the I don't know if you guys have heard, but I guess over the last week there was an Uber driver, and this Uber driver, he had three people get in his car in Chicago, and they spit on him and coughed on him because he asked them to wear their mask. One of the girls has been arrested. I don't know if you heard about that.
You were telling me
Yeah,
about it earlier. I'm about to look it up now. And see if we can bring that up. So tell the story. What happened now?
so basically, these three girls get into this guy's Uber, and he says, I need you guys to wear a mask before we continue, before we take off. Everybody's got to be wearing a mask. They
Right.
said no. He asked them to get out of the car, and then they just go in on him. They are coughing on him, yelling racial slurs at him. One of the girls snatches his phone out of his hand and snatches his mask down off of his face and continues to cough on him and says that she has COVID.
Wow.
Then
Oh, that's not good.
she tries to
That was,
defend herself on Instagram and says, "My boyfriend taught me that if somebody's disrespecting you, you disrespect them." And I'm like, "Your boyfriend taught you? Where are your parents?" You know?
and that was that the Asian Uber driver? There's a couple of them. There was one
Um,
in San Francisco, I think it was. That was San
look up the
Francisco.
one. I'll send you the link to it. Hold
I'm looking
on.
at a video, and I'm looking at a video now where it says Asian Uber driver coughed on assault after asking women to wear masks. That the one you're
Let me
talking
look at
about?
that.
Let
Mm-mm.
me see.
This was like just a few days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
No, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I got it right here. Let me bring it up for you. This is from KPIX Channel 5. I think this is Bay Area news here.
Oh, yeah,
Let
that's
me bring
it.
let me bring the story up for you. So I think somebody would have got snatched up right quick. I think they would have lost a few
You
teeth.
know, you know what I said though? I said,
What's that?
if I was him, I would have took off and slammed on the brakes so hard.
I mean, I'm not a one about violence, man, but I think I would have knocked
He
somebody
can't.
out
Yeah.
today.
He had to think about his job, but he did the right thing.
Yeah, because that's not good. That's rude.
Mm-mm.
That's like that's rude. Hold on, let me go ahead and play this. Then I think I got the audio together. I gotta make sure I got my audio in there. But yeah, but
Sorry,
that's
I was
like
kind of on a whim. Sorry.
no, that's good. We talked about it earlier. We didn't have anything pulled up, but here it is.
Now at 11 and streaming on CBSN Bay Area, a Bay Area Uber driver says he asked his passengers to wear a mask, and then things got ugly. KPIX5's Betty Hughes spoke with that driver this evening. Betty?
And Liz, this is just the latest attack against an Asian victim here in the Bay Area who feels like he was harassed and mocked because of his race. Tonight, San Francisco police say they're investigating this case. The video begins with the passenger taking off her mask and coughing. Another woman laughs and coughs. The woman steals the driver's phone and rips off his mask while they insult and threaten him.
I never said anything bad to them. I never cursed. I was not raised that way. I don't hit people. I am not raised that way. So they were not getting out of my car.
Driver Subhakar Kartka says his nightmare began Sunday afternoon. He picked up the three women in the Bayview on San Bruno Avenue. When he noticed one woman wasn't wearing a mask, he says he asked her to put one on. He says he drove to a nearby gas station so she could buy one. But by then, he says the racial slurs and taunting had already begun.
You guys are animals to treat all the human being like this.
And that wasn't the worst of it. He says after they eventually got out of the car, the woman in red.
So she pepper sprayed inside my car from the passenger window that was open a little bit.
Kartka says he came to the U.S. 8 years ago and works hard to support his family in Nepal. He believes he was targeted because of his race.
If I was of another complexion, I would have not gotten that treatment from them. I am pretty sure. The moment I opened my mouth to speak, they realize I'm not among one of them. It's easy for them to intimidate me.
And the driver says after repeated asks, Uber gave him $120 in cleaning funds to clean up his car, but still it is not sufficient rather. Tonight, in a statement to KPIX5, Uber said the behavior in the video is appalling. The rider no longer has access to Uber. Liz?
Man,
Yeah.
that's not
One of them
good.
was arrested.
Yeah,
One of them was arrested, and the other one. You see the girl in the middle? First of all,
yeah.
she needs to not hang out with him anymore. But the girl in the middle was protecting herself. She's like, nope. My name is Bennett,
No,
and I'm not in it.
I don't.
Um,
What bothers me about it is that they they had the mask on because they knew they had to wear masks. The two that they knew they had to wear them. That's why they was around. They had it lowered so they can talk, but they were conscious enough to know they needed to wear a mask wherever they had been throughout that day. Now to get in that Uber car and to act like that was trifling right there. I mean, not
horrible.
only it was it was embarrassing. I mean, I wonder what their parents are thinking right now. You know what I'm saying?
I think they're
Because
from Chicago. I think that's what it is.
they were from
Chicago
Chicago.
something. I
Okay,
think
I gotta look
so.
that story up.
Chicago something. Somebody's from Chicago.
Okay,
No, yeah, I thought that was
that wasn't
like
cool. That wasn't
horrible
cool.
to watch. And
That wasn't cool. And
the
they
one
needed.
that
The thing
snatched
about
the
it is they
mask
needed to
off,
ride.
and he's absolutely right. I do think race
Yeah,
played a part in this. I think that him being or his ethnicity, I think him being Asian and him having that Indian accent, I think that is definitely a factor that played in
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Definitely.
That
Um,
wasn't cool, man. That wasn't cool at
was
all. I
not.
mean, now if he had pulled his firearm out and told them to get out the car,
Yeah,
he would
pretty
have. They would
much.
look.
He
They
would
would
have
have
got in
been.
trouble.
He would have got in trouble for that. And
You
to be
know,
coughing on somebody, that's just it wasn't cool, man. It just and you look at if you look at the divide again in our country, because people don't want to respect each other. It's about respecting each other's space,
they
privacy,
wouldn't
and their opinions.
they would have never did that to a black person.
I don't know.
I
I don't
don't think they
know.
would have. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think they would have done that to a black person because they know they probably would have got it would have been some violence in that car.
I can't. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna say what up because people are doing some crazy things right now. It
Oh, I'll
doesn't
take. Oh,
matter.
you're right. I'm sorry. I take that back because I actually saw a video of a black Uber driver with some horrible customers in the back. She didn't throw hands, but she threw words. It's very different. And she was
Right.
hurting feelings. She was hurting
Right.
feelings. She was
Yeah.
doing a lot. I really hope she kept her job, but they were
Yeah.
trying her, and she tried them back. So I think you're right. I don't think that I still don't think they would have tried that with a black person, but I also
I don't think that girl would have coughed on a black person like
never.
that.
No,
But
absolutely
but
not.
but you take it back. Remember the bus driver that got spit on and he kicked the girl off the bus? It was a black girl spit on the bus driver.
You mean when he uppercutted her?
Didn't she spit on him first?
No, she deserved that uppercut. But yeah,
No, no. But did she spit on him?
she was in his face. This was a long time ago, right? On
This
the
was like a couple years.
RTA.
No, this was like a couple years ago.
Oh, Darren says, why wouldn't they if he was black? Put that up there.
I don't think the race had a matter in this situation. It was the mentality that they had about masks. They didn't care. I don't think it was a. I don't. I think some things. I think they escalated. Like I don't think the girl when she reached up to grab the phone, she was reaching up while he was driving, which is dangerous. I'm not sure if he was still in emotion or not. Apparently he wasn't because he
So
turned around a couple times. But
the
yeah,
reason
it
why I
just
say this has something to do with race is because I have experience. So I used to work in a call center at Chase. I also worked in a call center at PNC.
okay.
Each of those places that I worked in, I have witnessed myself the treatment of Asian people compared to everybody else.
Okay.
I'm not, what I will say is I have witnessed Indian people on the phone who have thick accents getting disrespected by their customers. I have listened in on these calls. And
Okay.
honestly, it was a mix between black and white, but it was aggressive from both black and white people.
Wow. Okay.
So I feel like have it has something to do with race because of the thick
Okay.
accent. And for some reason, people with this people with that accent, or people who have any accent, not just Indian accent, any accent, for some
Okay.
reason, from especially from other countries, like even Arabic people. I've seen Arabic people get flack for that. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I don't know why. I feel like it's so wrong and it's not fair. But I do think that it played a role in this situation. I absolutely think so.
I heard someone mention that before, that when it comes down to different dialects, that Americans are the most ignorant, or
I don't
I gotta
understand it because then we go to other
yeah,
countries, don't know how to speak whatever language they're speaking.
right, but expect everyone to speak English, and
It's the most
so
annoying thing ever.
so it's like I've heard other people talk about this, and that speak other languages, and they look at us like, we're so privileged and above everyone, you know.
We look at ourselves like that, and everybody else looks at us like,
Right,
who
that's what I'm
in the
saying.
world and
We look,
why?
but we act like we don't, but we actually do. We actually elevate ourselves up to being better than. And when you hear other people talk from other countries, and they talk about Americans, they're like, "This is how I talk." Well, I mean, it's like, why are you tripping? You talk funny too to me. You talk funny. And not only
I
that, if you're an American, we have about 5 to 6 different accents right here in our own country. you
yes,
know, and we
yes, and
criticize and we
American
criticize each other.
accent.
And we criticize each other. We
The
criticize each
accents
other's
from
accent.
here, the accents in Kansas City, Missouri,
Missouri.
is so different from Ohio accents. And it's different parts of Ohio have different accents.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying?
Cincinnati,
So it's just like,
Cleveland is
how
different.
can you possibly be upset about someone else's accent? And I've actually had someone call me when I was at PNC and ask me, I want to speak to your supervisor because I want to ask them to take the option to speak Spanish um off of the options when you call in, off the automated voice
Yeah.
options.
Right.
I said, "What?" And I got talked to because of that call, because of what I said to that woman.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just the reality, I guess. But I definitely think that I've had some pretty diverse work environments, and I honestly do think that this situation did have to do with his ethnicity. I do.
Oh, I mean, I believe
Um,
that had something to do with them. I just don't think. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Woo, I did it on TV, didn't I?
yeah,
I don't think that. No, when you made the fact that if he was black, it wouldn't have happened like that. I wouldn't say that. I think
it
that it can
wouldn't know.
happen. I think that it depends on. I think it
So
depends on how you approach the situation. If you stand firm and letting people know you're not going to tolerate something, like from the get go, like when they first showed their ignorance right there, when they
I was
first
gonna
showed that,
say it might have started like that, but it
it
wasn't
might
gonna
have,
end like
it
that.
wasn't going to end like that. And I think it depends on the person. He could have set that same tone, but I think he was trying to be respectable. And a couple of things is that when you're not from our country, he's been here, what do you say, 8 years, maybe 9 years?
But he said that he needs his job to support his family in Nepal.
Right, right. No,
He's
no.
not
What
gonna
I'm
do
saying is
anything to
that
mess that up.
I think people who come here try to be super nice and over accommodating, even when they're being disrespected, because they know they're new, they're the outsider.
He
They don't
said
want
it's
to
easy
rough.
for them to intimidate him, is what he said.
It's right. They intimidate him, and he knew it, but he's trying to, not to be disrespectful, trying to accommodate them
Hmm.
anyway. If it was an American
I
who
went
stood
totally
there,
left.
now it would have they could have, because you don't have that leverage there of saying, well, I'm a new guy in the country. It's not about that. But it's about how you stand up in the beginning. It's how you present yourself. You don't have to be disrespectful, but you can present yourself in a way that you're not going to tolerate it. I
No,
have, I have, I've been in situations where, not like that, but where a person want to try me and see how far they can go in a situation. I mean, I'm talking about when you're in a role of serving somebody, when you're in the role of being a customer. I mean, of being a servant.
yeah, yeah.
You're serving someone, and people can make a comment or something, and they want to see how far they can go. See, we don't know what that conversation was like before we saw this video. You
But I will
know,
say this, we've seen Uber videos where the driver was still foreign and the driver still was assertive and the driver was assertive instead of passive. They were assertive and
yeah,
it still went the same way. I still
yeah,
went the same way. And so yeah, I don't know, but I do feel like because Darren said why not with a black person? I think that to correct myself, you're right. I think it could have still started that way, Darren, but it wouldn't have ended that way, in my personal opinion and my
yeah,
experience. I don't
yeah.
think it would have ended that way. That lady would have never been able to snatch that mask off and not be touched.
And not only that, cough on me
You
like
said
that.
yourself, Dad, you said yourself. You said I
Right,
might
right.
have to snatch somebody up.
Right. I said, me. That's what I'm saying. That was me. That's what I'm saying. And me in general, I wouldn't have been that tolerable. I wouldn't have tolerated that much.
I don't think anyone
It
would.
wouldn't
I
have
don't think
lasted. It
any.
wouldn't have lasted that long. It would have been a matter. It would have been like, put your mask back on. I don't want to put my mask back on. Right here, get out. It would have
And
been that quick.
they would have stayed in the car. They would have stayed in the car because that's what he did.
No, no. I would have stopped the car. I would have called the police, and they
I
would have been
definitely would have
escorted out
called
of
the
my
police.
car.
Good.
You know,
Yeah.
and then when she snatched my mask off, it would have been a quicker stop, and she would have hit her head, or something. I might have got sued. I might have got sued on that one, but I
That
got
is what I said I would do, which I take back. But I said that I would have pulled off and slammed on the brakes, put my seatbelt
no,
on cool smooth and slammed on the brakes.
but see, that's what I'm saying. It's like we have to learn to respect one another. We got to learn to respect
Yeah.
space for one another. It's We can go on and talk about
What?
incidents of where people don't respect. What's the matter?
Let's hit one more. I want to before we come out of here. I kind of want to
Yeah.
touch on the Oprah interview with the Duke
Okay.
and Duchess.
Sure. You got something?
So yeah. So okay. So
You got a video or anything, or did you want to show in particular, or?
I mean, you can look up some stuff. It's a long interview, so I didn't want to pull video from it because I didn't want to, but I can touch on some of the things that were talked about in the video.
Okay, no, go
So
ahead.
basically, let me pull this up here. So Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex,
Yeah.
they had an interview, a sit down with Oprah to discuss why they left the royal family.
Right.
So, Meghan and Harry both accused the palace of racism.
Right.
Okay. They said some really disturbing things that were that I think everybody's just like, wow, really? I think we all knew that they were racist because come on, it's the royal family. This we're talking about thousands of years,
Right.
well, over 1,000 years
Right.
of this family doing pretty much the same thing over that thousand. There's not going to change just because you come in the family.
Right.
And I don't know why she thought that but look, so anyway, they said that there was discussions about how dark their son Archie would be when he was born. They did
Right.
not know that he was a boy at the time, but it was
Yeah.
discussed that he wouldn't get a title, he would not get security, and that he would and that there were discussions about how dark he would be
Right.
when it came out. That was concerning.
Right.
Also, you had the media that was really aggressive with her when she came into the royal family. They were saying she was from Compton, saying that she was a gangster, saying, all these things about her because she's black.
Right.
So
Right.
the discussion now is that's being had everywhere, all over the world. One was the way they treated Meghan a race issue. A lot of people are arguing that it wasn't. And of course, these are people in Britain who are saying that's not what it was when we from the outside looking in can clearly see that it is. But then there are also black people saying that why is it that she thought she could be, yeah, Darren says, I'm not surprised at all that Harry and Meghan experienced racism. Same.
No, nobody is. I don't think anybody should be surprised.
Yeah, so the question is, do we sympathize with her? Do we sympathize with her? Do we agree with her that and her and Harry that they should have left the family and that she experienced this racism and she's completely been wronged here? Like, are we on their side? Where do you stand on this? Like, there's a
I'm not
lot of
surprised.
accusations.
I'm not surprised anything that happened, but I think they did everything the right way. And the reason why I say that is because I've been saying, I said it in the show earlier that people are being exposed. So Harry and Meghan need to do some things to reinvent themselves. When
They
I
are
say that
being.
is because they're separating from the family. So they have to make a life of their own, and so they have to carve their way out. So people are going to ask, why are you leaving? What is the real? What's happening? So they just came out and told the truth. Now, should we sympathize with Meghan? Sure, we should. Um, Sympathize with Harry as well. But also, the thing is that I mentioned this in a post last week on Facebook. I said, many of us ignore a lot of social issues until it impacts us personally. Harry could have, Harry is not blind to racism. He's seen it. He's seen it in his own country. He's seen it within the palace, probably. Now, if Harry had done something, let me finish. If Harry had done something, say some years ago, maybe he built a school for underserved children. Maybe he did something to show that he was conscious of the racial environment within the British the UK over there. Say he did that, and then this situation may not have been as impactful to the family as it was because they knew where Harry stood. Um, the thing that's probably more shocking to some people is the silence of his dad. You know, his dad, Prince Charles, he walked Meghan down the aisle because her dad wasn't there.
Right.
You
And they're
know,
like,
but yet,
that was one of the
but yet,
argument points.
but yes, Prince Charles right here says that Harry was looking for more support from his dad, and but then his dad stopped taking his phone calls and was told to put things in writing. It was just it's striking to hear that from your dad. And we all have parents, and there's been times where we might not agree with our parents or our child or whatever, but there's a love that comes in that surpasses what the public may view of you. So you stand by your child. In this situation, I think Prince Charles should have stood by his son to let the world know I stand by my son. That's bigger than the rest of this stuff. Now you look like what we thought you might be in the first place. You didn't change the narrative. You didn't change the perception. What were you gonna say?
God, no. I'm building my thoughts.
No, that's just my take on when I look at parents and their children. Um, they didn't do anything illegal or a crime. Why not stand by your child? You did not stand by your child because of the perception of what it looks like of being accused or your family being accused of something that's considered the most worst thing to be accused by.
I think that they're in a very unique predicament.
Right.
Yes, yes, Darren, I agree.
Yeah.
Um, we could argue that they created it
They created it,
because
yes.
let's just be honest, they Europe. Well, I'm sorry, Europe. The UK has colonized such a large percentage of the world.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that we have to just look at the practices of this family over the years. Um, and that's how you can pretty much so even if you can say that some people in the royal family are not racist, right?
Hmm.
You have to look at the institution in itself, and it is racist.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
racist
Oh yeah.
institution.
Definitely.
From
Definitely.
their conception to, I mean, it they're sending ships to bring back slaves. Like this is this is Britain, this is England, this is not this.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just having a hard time understanding people are not why people are questioning if the validity of these claims. We know that they're
Yeah.
racist. You've never
Right. Right.
seen a drop of black in any of the pictures. Well, it was argued that Queen Charlotte was black,
Yeah.
but
Well, there was a
I
lot of
feel like
royalty. There was a lot of royalty in Europe of black kings and queens back in the 15th and 14th
in
hundred
this
era back then.
family, you've never
No,
seen
not
it.
this, not this family.
So
No.
the argument that I can make here is one, you have Prince Charles and Prince William are in direct line to the throne.
Right.
We know that when Queen Elizabeth passes on, Prince Charles is going to take the throne. That's right now, that's what it looks like. There's not really a whole lot of
Yeah.
wiggle room for her to pass over him. So right
Right.
now, that's what we'll say is he is in line to be next on the throne.
All right.
That comes with a greater responsibility than a normal parent.
Yeah.
He has
Oh,
to
it is.
do whatever he can. He can't step out of line. There's just nowhere for them to step. Him and William.
Right.
That's what Harry
Yeah.
said in the interview. He said that they are
Yeah.
trapped and they can't get out. So he has compassion for them. So
Yeah.
my thing is, there's no doubt in my mind that there was racism that played a role here.
Right.
But in my mind, I'm also like Megan had to know what she was getting into.
She did.
And there was arguments that were made that was saying Megan's whole life, she like I love Megan. Like I honestly do. I don't have anything
Yeah.
against her. She's in one of my favorite shows, Suits. I watch the show all the time still. I'm watching the show for the third time, the whole series. So
Never
I love
seen
the
it.
show.
I've never
She's
seen
a
it.
great you should watch it sometime. It's really good. But
What is it?
it's called Suits. Great
Okay.
show.
Okay.
Phenomenal. But what I will say is that some of the comments that were made were like, Megan her whole life has benefited from colorism. And then
Yeah.
she got to the royal family and she was knocked down by the racism that she experienced.
Right.
Because her whole life
She
she's
benefited.
very she's very light skinned. She's favorable in a lot of industries because of how light skinned that she is. She's black, but she's still, she on that in colorism, the lighter you are, the more you benefit from it, which is a very, very sad thing. And that's another issue that we can address another time, privilege
Mhm.
within that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so she was able to, benefit from that her whole life. And then she got over to Europe she got over to why do I keep saying Europe? It is Europe, but you know what I'm saying? Like she got over to England and
Yeah.
she thought that she was gonna just kind of like mesh into this fold and
Right.
they
Right.
rejected her. She was
Right.
rejected heavily after all the cameras, after all the big show was over for the wedding, after the show,
Yeah.
because that's what they basically said is everything is a show. Nothing is what it
Right.
seems. You
Right.
see
I'll do
smiles,
that.
nothing is what it seems behind the scenes. And it was like we all saw this coming. How did she not see it coming is what the argument is. And I think
She
this
was in
can just
love.
be a
If you're in
teachable
love with
moment.
if you're in love with somebody, you're blinded by that.
I feel like that's not the case here. I feel like she might have been in love, but she had to have known what she was going into was going to be tough. And what I will say, what more so than the racism, because I feel like we were definitely not surprised by the racism. What we were surprised about was how her story has a lot of parallels to Princess Diana as far as mental
Mhm.
health issues. She was crying out for
Yeah.
help. There's emails proving that she was crying out for help, and no
Yeah.
one in the royal family wanted to help her. They wouldn't let her go see They wouldn't let her go get help. They wouldn't let her get
Okay.
psychological help at all. She was on the brink of committing suicide. And
Right.
I think that there's just so many. I mean, I'm glad that they got out of this situation. I'm glad that they're now on the outside and they're able to do what they want and they're able to do interviews, live the life that they want to live apart from the royal family. But I feel like there still needs to be we can't just have open arms for this situation and just say, we're sorry that you experienced this and blah blah blah. Like I think that we have to acknowledge the fact that we have to do a better job at recognizing toxic situations. Things like, do you have there how did you not know that this situation was going to occur?
Well, it's
This
deep
wasn't a
because
thought. Like,
yeah, it goes deep. I mean, if you look at what happened with Piers Morgan, it shows you how deep this goes because the first thing that he did was deny that it happened to her, and then deny that her mental health was
yeah.
has that she was going through mental health issues, and his anger, which didn't even wasn't really nothing that affected him personally.
Well, he
He
was
was
rejected by
angry.
Megan.
Well, no. What I'm saying, as in, yeah, that was a personal issue. I'm talking about, but her story about
Oh, right. Had nothing
the
to do
royal
with him, and he
family
was mad
had
about
nothing
it.
to do with him, and he was mad about it because maybe he took that personal relationship with Megan and why she rejected him personally. So now everything she says, he's going to go against it, and he quit his job over it.
Sharon
And
Osbourne jumped in it.
I mean, there's so many people. That's what I'm saying. So many people spoke out, and you look at them. When you look at it later, you always got to look at this. When you speak out, before you speak out, think about what side of history you're really going to be on.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 50 years from now, what side of history were you on? And I think a lot of people are making that mistake in every social issue in our society right now, that it's going to be just like it was in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, where people realize now they're on the wrong side of history on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. And you can't take that
And
back.
you can't take it back. And you stood for something that historically was the wrong move. And I think it's gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt the royal family in a sense,
Yeah. Because
but
when you
it's
look at
going
the Commonwealth, most of the Commonwealth is black people. They're
yeah,
people of color.
right.
So
They're gonna be
you
rejected by the royal families. They're gonna reject the royal family over this as time
it's
goes
gonna be
on.
hard to come back from this for them because the people that they've supported for so long or that they've, they do tours in these countries and they're welcomed with open arms. They finally had a black princess. Somebody that
Yeah,
looked, well, she's a duchess, but you wouldn't
Duchess, yeah.
technically call her a princess, but
She's royalty.
she she's royalty. And she's in the royal family and she looks like us.
Yeah,
She looks like us. So even if you're saying you're denying these claims, you're denying them super
yeah,
like it did not happen, we're not racist. All that we
right.
see is a black woman that used to be in the royal family who was pushed out by the royal family. And the only thing that we can see is that she's black and you're white.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
all you see
only thing
now.
that we can see. Because, Dad, there have been so many scandals within this royal family. I mean, plus Prince Andrew, come on
Right.
now, on Epstein's Island. You guys haven't said anything about that. And then they were promising Megan that they were going to protect her. They said, "Do not respond to these claims in the media. We're going to protect you." Kate,
Yeah,
I guess there was a story that came out that she made Kate cry on the night before the wedding,
yeah.
and
That was a
turns
lie.
out
That was a lie.
Kate actually made her cry. Apparently, that's what she
Yeah,
said. So,
yeah,
and we heard nothing about this. So the whole time she's not looking at social media. She's not looking at what the media is saying about her, and they're telling her not to worry about it. They're going to protect her, and the whole time she's getting trashed. She doesn't even
yeah,
know it. Her friends are
yeah,
calling her like, "Megan,
yeah,
this does not look good." She's like, "Don't worry, I got it." But that's what bothers me. That's what
yeah.
bothers me so
Well,
much
that's
about it is because she's like, "Don't worry, they've got me covered. Don't worry, I'm good over here. You are not good over here, sis. Like, what are you doing? Why are you believing this?" And it's just like, one, it makes me think like, did her parents fail her? Did her parents not teach her the real of her reality?
well.
You know,
She had a broken household though.
yeah, but she was with her mom, right? Who's black.
Yeah, and her dad is white, and there was friction there. So
Right, but I'm saying, did she
she's
not
looking.
know that like
Well, she
this
thought
is
she
a
was going to be
possibility?
embraced. She saw that how her family was. It was broken up, and she looked at going into this family and being embraced. Like you
No,
said,
this woman is
she
in
is.
her late 30s. This woman is
But
almost 40
but
years old.
right. But she has benefited from her complexion throughout her career. She's benefited from that. So now
Okay.
she goes in this family thinking that she's still going to benefit. So anyway,
That's what
we're
I'm
like,
saying. She
wait,
got knocked down.
we're going on 10 minutes past the hour, and we got to wrap up
Okay,
this
yeah.
show. So I know you want to get
Yeah.
into this, but
No,
me
no,
personally,
that was good. I just wanted to
I know,
get
but
that out.
me personally, you see, I haven't talked too much. I made one post about it on social media. And I'm like, it is what it is. I say this man finally realized it didn't get personal to him until it didn't bother him until it affected him personally. This is he has a wife and a kid now. Now I got a
He
second kid on the
said
way.
he said that he has not experienced. He said, I didn't know about racism. I did not experience any
No,
of
right.
that. Megan
He
opened my
knew it.
eyes. Like, well,
No, he knew it
boy,
existed. No, he knew it existed. He
he
knew it
yeah,
existed, but it didn't affect him until it was
right,
personal. He didn't want to
right,
make changes, and that's what's wrong with our country.
right.
If whatever the issue is, and if you say, "Well, I don't have to deal with that," that's the wrong approach
It's a
because
problem.
you're going to have to deal with it at some point. So,
Yeah,
as I said, let's move on.
right.
Today, I want to thank everybody for coming out. All our supporters that have supported the show. We've been doing really good on it. I love doing this show. I love doing
Yeah.
this show because we get to talk a little bit. But I'm looking forward to next week. I keep you guys updated what the show's going to be about next week. I don't have any locked in plans yet of what's going to happen. But my bottom line for today, why don't you go first? What's your bottom line?
I don't think I have one. I
You
don't
don't
know.
have a bottom
Everybody
line?
just be well, stay healthy, wear your mask, social distance.
Yeah. My bottom line is just, as always, respect other people. Take a chance. Take a chance on being vulnerable and uncomfortable to get to know people, because a lot of our issues can be settled with each other personally and not be affected with what we see nationally that's going on. And I think that would be that's my bottom line. Just respect and take the time to get to know more people. And
Okay.
then with that, I will catch you next week. Same
All
time,
right. See
same
you next
sandbox.
week. Yep. All right. See you later.
See you later now.